I was 78, the morning my youngest son tried to steal my house out from under me. I always thought the quiet betrayals in life came from strangers. Polite smiles, subtle dismissals, the world shifting around old women as if pushing them toward the edges. I didn't expect the knife to come from my own blood. His name is Adam, and he was born with the kind of charm that makes nurses coo and teachers look the other way. He was the child who never fully grew out of his sweetness. He just sharpened it into a tool. My late husband used to say, Adam could talk a wolf out of its teeth. Turns out, he used that talent on me. It started small, almost beautifully small, like the first crack in a wine glass you don't notice until it splinters in your hand. He began visiting more often, bringing me little pastries from the bakery, flowers from the discount section, asking about my health in a tone too rehearsed to be love, but too soft to be cruelty. Mom, he said one day, handing me a lemon tart I didn't ask for, you really shouldn't worry about bills anymore. I've been thinking, why don't I help manage the house finances? I laughed. I'm old, sweetheart, not incompetent. He smiled, not offended, not wounded. Just patient, too patient. The first real sign came 2 months later, hidden inside a cup of chamomile tea. I woke up to knocking. Hard, official knocking. The kind that makes your bones remember funerals. A man in a grey suit stood on my porch. Mrs. Rowan. Yes? I'm here regarding the property inspection request. I blinked. What inspection? He checked his clipboard. The one filed by your son. I felt something cold slide down my spine. Which son? Adam Rowan, he said. Says you're preparing the home for transfer of ownership. I didn't hear the rest. My ears filled with a buzzing sound, like an old TV left on a dead channel. Transfer of ownership of my home that I bought with 23 years of nursing shifts, with night classes, with a husband who died too early, but left me memories in the shape of doorways and floorboards. I called Adam. He answered on the second ring. Mom, everything okay? Why is there a man at my door talking about transferring my house? A pause. Then a bright, oily laugh. Oh, that? Mom, it's nothing. Just paperwork. A preliminary thing. I'm helping organize your estate so nobody takes advantage of you. I stared at the wall. You're the one taking advantage. His voice cooled, barely. Mom, let's not do drama. Drama? That word always means, I'm lying and you're ruining it. I didn't confront him again that day. I let him think I was confused. Old, forgetful, easily soothed. I made tea, fed my roses, walked through the house slowly, touching the frames on the walls, feeling the carpet where my children once took their first steps. Then I called my oldest friend Masha. Masha was 79, but moved like she had a secret engine. She had raised 5 children, buried 2 husbands, and survived cancer 3 times, partly due to medicine and partly because she scared the cancer back into remission. I knew that boy would turn, she said the moment I told her. He hasn't turned, I said. He's lost. No, she replied. Some people are born with a compass, some steal yours. We drank whiskey in the middle of the afternoon, a luxury that would have scandalized the church ladies, and discussed options. Marcia said, you could confront him, you could scream, you could lawyer up. Could. I agreed. But you won't, she said, eyes narrowing. Because you're not angry yet. Not the right kind. What's the right kind? The kind that wakes up old women like us at midnight and says, "Time to sharpen the knives." I laughed, too loud, too sudden. But the truth lodged in my chest like a stubborn seed. I wasn't angry, not yet, but I was beginning to feel something better. Suspicion. 2 days later, a letter arrived from the county clerk. Your request for a preliminary deed reassignment has been processed. I read it 4 times. Preliminary. Not final. Not yet. I sat down at my kitchen table, folded my hands, and whispered, "Oh, Adam, sweetheart. You shouldn't have started something you can't finish." I took out my old fireproof box. The one full of documents, deeds, insurance papers, letters from my husband, and tucked in between those, a list of phone numbers I never thought I'd need. A lawyer, a retired police detective, an accountant, and one name underlined twice, written in my husband's handwriting. If anything ever happens, call Dwight. I had never called that number. I didn't even know who Dwight was. But my husband had written it decades ago in perfect, careful cursive. So I dialed. A deep voice answered. "Dwight here." "This is Eleanor Rowan," I said. "My husband left me your number." A pause. Long. Measured. "You're Daniel's wife," he said. It wasn't a question. "Yes." "And you're calling because someone has crossed a line?" I swallowed. "Yes." He exhaled once, slow and steady, like a man setting down a weight he had been waiting years to lift again. "I owe Daniel a favor," he said, "and he told me this day might come." My skin prickled. "What exactly did he tell you?" I whispered. "That you're tougher than you look," he said, "and that if one of your boys ever betrayed you, you'd call me to help you break him without drawing blood." I closed my eyes. The anger finally came. Not loud, not wild. Cold. Precise. Alive. "I need to stop my son from stealing my home," I said. Dwight's voice lowered to a growl. "Then let's make sure he never tries anything this stupid again." Dwight showed up 20 minutes after our call. I don't know what I expected. A shadowy figure in sunglasses. A biker with facial hair and questionable ethics. A retired Marine with a limp and a tragic backstory. What I got was a man in pressed khakis, a plaid shirt, and a jacket with Rotary Club on it. He looked like someone who fixed lawnmowers for fun. "Mrs. Rowan?" he said, stepping onto my porch. "Dwight Harriman, friend of your late husband." He extended a hand that felt like shaking a granite countertop. "You look normal," I blurted. He grinned. "That's the point." We sat at my kitchen table. The same table where I'd raised children, healed scraped knees, burned pies, and planned birthdays. Now it was a war room. Dwight took out a notebook and clicked a pen. "Start at the beginning," he said. I told him everything. The inspection, the letter, the phone call, Adam's sugary lies. Dwight listened without interrupting once. The only movement was his jaw tightening when I repeated Adam's words. "Mom, let's not do drama." When I finished, Dwight closed his notebook. "Classic opportunist behavior," he said. "He wants the house. But stealing property requires 2 things, leverage and timing. He already tried timing. Now he'll try leverage. What does that mean? Dwight folded his hands. He'll try to prove you're unfit, forgetful, unsafe alone. He'll push for guardianship. Guardianship. The word tasted like rust. He can't, I said. He wouldn't. Dwight didn't flinch. Ma'am, he already is. And right on cue, as if summoned by guilt or fate, we heard a knock on my front door. A polite official. Your future is about to be decided for you. Knock. Dwight didn't react. He simply stood and nodded for me to open it. On my porch stood a social worker, a pleasant woman in glasses, holding a clipboard, smiling with that practiced concern that suburbia produces by the dozen. Mrs. Rowan? She asked. I received a call from your son about some safety concerns. Safety concerns. I could almost hear the capital letters. I felt my blood boil, but Dwight put a gentle hand on my arm. May I handle this? He whispered. I nodded. He stepped forward, introducing himself with a smile so warm you'd think he was about to sell her a life insurance policy. Thanks for coming, he said kindly. You're right to check in. We called earlier. She blinked. Oh, you did? Yes, Dwight lied, with the elegance of a lifelong professional. You see, Mrs. Rowan's son has been exhibiting alarming behavior. Financial instability, erratic decisions, attempts at coercion. The social worker's pen froze mid-hover. Dwight continued. In fact, we're concerned he may be attempting to exploit her assets. My jaw nearly hit the floor. She looked from me to Dwight, trying to piece together a puzzle she hadn't realized was upside down. Dwight leaned in slightly. Not menacing, but authoritative in a way that made a person believe him. I have documentation, he said smoothly, tapping his jacket pocket. Financial irregularities, unauthorized actions, misrepresentation. The social worker swallowed. Well, we don't want to jump to conclusions. Of course not, Dwight said. That's why we'll be filing a protective notice for her. From him. The woman nodded so fast she nearly dropped her clipboard. I'll make a note of this, she said. And close the wellness check as resolved. Dwight thanked her. She left. I stared at him, stunned. What did you just do? Set the board, he said simply. Now we play. That evening, Adam called. Of course he did. He had expected a panicked old woman, not a closed case file. His voice oozed frustration wrapped in fake sympathy. Mom, the social worker said everything was fine. She didn't even stay. Funny, I said, stirring my tea. She seemed very concerned about you. Silence. Then he snapped. Are you accusing me of something? No, I said calmly. I'm letting the county handle it. The sound he made, half scoff, half snarl, was the sound of a man losing control of his own narrative. You're making this difficult, he hissed. I know, I said sweetly. It's one of my hobbies. He hung up. Dwight, sipping coffee across from me, smirked. He's rattled. Good. The next morning, the real battle began. Adam arrived at my house without warning, slamming his car door like an angry teenager. He stormed inside. Yes, stormed into his 78-year-old mother's home, without knocking. Mom, we need to talk, he said, pacing like a man negotiating with his ego. Dwight, who had arrived earlier to install a door sensor, stood in my living room like a polite wall of muscle. "Hello, Adam," he said, smiling in a way that made the air colder. Adam ignored him. "Mom, you're being manipulated. This guy is confusing you. He's trying to turn you against me." "He doesn't need to," I replied. "You're doing a wonderful job on your own." Adam froze. He stared at me. Really stared. For the first time in years. "Mom," he whispered, eyes narrowing. "You're different." "I'm awake," I said. His jaw clenched. "You're making a mistake." "No," I said softly. "You did." Dwight stepped forward. "Mr. Rowan?" he said politely. "All future communication will go through legal channels. Please leave." Adam's eyes darted between us. "You think you can take her from me?" He spat at Dwight. Dwight didn't blink. "She's not being taken," he said. "She's being protected." Something broke in Adam's expression. Entitlement, rage, fear, all boiling into one stony glare. "This isn't over," he said. He left. His tires screeched. My hands trembled. Not with fear, but with clarity. Dwight exhaled. "He'll escalate," he said. "I know. And when he does, you'll be ready." I sipped my tea. "Dwight, what exactly did my husband help you with all those years ago?" Dwight smiled without warmth. "Let's just say," he murmured, "he taught me that quiet women make the most dangerous enemies." The next escalation came 3 days later. A letter taped to my door from a law firm. I opened it slowly. Adam had filed for emergency guardianship, claiming mental decline, unsafe living conditions, inability to manage finances, increasing paranoia influenced by outside parties. I stared at the paper. The words blurred for a moment. Not because I was scared, because I was finally, completely, irrevocably angry. Dwight took the papers from my hand. He didn't curse. He didn't shout. He only said, "Then it's time to pull the file your husband left for you." "My husband left me a file?" He nodded. "Oh yes, and Adam is about to wish he'd never tried to take what wasn't his." Dwight didn't explain what he meant. He simply walked to the hall closet, the one I hadn't opened in years, reached behind the coats, and pulled out a metal lockbox I had never seen before. "How did you—" I began. He shrugged. "Daniel showed me this house before he died. He told me where to find it if things ever went sideways with your children." I blinked. "My husband expected this." Dwight gave me a sad, oddly tender smile. "Your husband loved Adam with all his heart, but he also knew exactly who he was." That hurt in a way betrayal never could. Not hard, not sharp, but deep. Dwight set the lockbox on my kitchen table and opened it with a key he wore around his neck. Inside were an envelope with my name, a USB stick, a slim brown folder, and a single gold ring I had never seen before. The ring was simple, heavy, and inscribed inside. "For when the truth must be loud." My hands shook. "What is all this?" Dwight slid the folder toward me. "Evidence," he said, "collected by your husband, in case Adam ever tried to take what wasn't his." I stared at Dwight. "He knew," I whispered. Dwight nodded. Daniel saw the signs long ago. He hoped Adam would grow out of them. But he prepared for the day he didn't. I swallowed hard, opened the folder, and the past hit me like a winter storm. Inside were documents, emails, printouts, account logs, all centered on Adam, all showing a pattern of taking, not stealing, not quite, just borrowing money that never returned, using credit cards in other people's names, manipulating elderly neighbors into signing things they didn't understand, not enough to be prosecuted, but enough to know. Adam had been practicing for years, and now he wanted the big prize. My house. Dwight tapped the USB stick. This, he said, contains recordings. Your husband wanted you to have them only if Adam went too far. Hands trembling, I plugged it into my laptop. A file opened. Audio. I clicked play. First Daniel's voice. Soft, warm, achingly familiar. Adam, you cannot manipulate your mother like this. Then Adam's younger voice. Not cold, not cruel, but calculating in a way that made my blood go cold. Dad, you don't get it. She's old. She won't even notice. And when she dies, the house is mine anyway. I'm just speeding it up. The room spun. I covered my mouth. The next line was quieter. Daniel whispering, I will never let you hurt her. Adam's reply, then I'll wait until you're not around. The audio ended. The silence afterward was not silence at all. It was grief mixed with revelation, thick and suffocating. Dwight rested a hand on mine. I'm sorry, he said, but you needed to hear it. I nodded slowly. I did. The next morning, Dwight and I went to the courthouse. Not to fight the guardianship filing, to destroy it. Dwight had prepared everything. Counter affidavits, medical evaluations, showing I was fully capable, documentation of Adam's past behaviors, the audio recordings, statements from friends, a report from the social worker, and a petition for a restraining order. Adam arrived late to the hearing, face pale, hair uncombed, jaw clenched like a trapped animal. He sat across the courtroom from me and attempted a smile. It looked wrong on his face. His lawyer leaned down to whisper something. Adam's eyes flicked to us. He looked unsure. That was new. When the judge called the case, Adam rose confidently. Your Honor, I'm only trying to protect my mother. Dwight stood. Objection, he said calmly. We have evidence to the contrary. The judge frowned. Present it. And Dwight did. Piece by piece, meticulously, quietly, unemotionally. His presentation wasn't dramatic. It didn't need to be. He laid out Adam's financial manipulation, the inspection stunt, the forged preliminary paperwork, the history of borrowing and coercing, testimony from neighbors, the social worker's report, and finally, the audio. The courtroom froze. Adam's face drained of blood. He opened his mouth as if to object. But how do you object to your own voice? The line, she's old, she won't even notice, hung in the air like smoke. The judge leaned back slowly. Mr. Rowan, she said, based on the evidence presented, I am denying your petition for guardianship in full. Adam swallowed. Furthermore, the judge continued. I am granting Mrs. Rowan exclusive control over her estate, protected status under financial exploitation law, and issuing a temporary restraining order until a full investigation is completed. Adam's lawyer whispered urgently. Adam didn't hear. He stared at me, but not with anger, with something worse. Realization that his mother had seen him clearly for the first time, and did not flinch. Outside the courthouse, Adam followed me, despite the restraining order. Mom, please, let me explain. I turned. For the first time in my life, I looked at my son not as my baby, not as the child I raised, but as the man he had chosen to become. There is nothing you can say, I said softly. That makes what you did a mistake. It was a choice. Many choices. His face crumpled. Mom, don't do this. I touched his cheek gently, the way I did when he was small, and felt him flinch. You took advantage of the one person who never stopped loving you, I said. And you thought I'd stay quiet. His lips trembled. I'm your son. Yes, I said. And I hope one day you learn what that truly means. I stepped back. Dwight placed a protective hand on my shoulder. Adam reached out. Mom, please don't walk away. I'm not walking away, I said. I'm closing the door you tried to burn. Then I turned and walked to the car, without looking back. 3 months passed. The investigation concluded. Adam avoided jail time, barely, but the restraining order became permanent. His access to my assets was legally terminated. His credit accounts were frozen, his debts exposed. His reputation in the community, once charming, now carried a shadow that followed him like a tail. And me. I finally slept peacefully. The roses bloomed again. Marcia brought over whiskey. Dwight visited once a week, checking my locks, helping with repairs, drinking coffee, like a man who had no intention of letting anything threaten me again. One evening, as the sun dipped low, I opened the lockbox again. The ring still gleamed. For when the truth must be loud, I slid it onto my finger. It fit perfectly. My husband knew. He always knew. Dwight joined me on the porch, watching the sky settle into the quiet of evening. You did well, he said. No, I said, smiling softly. We did well. He chuckled. Your husband would be proud. I looked at the garden, the house, the life that was still mine. He already was, I said. And now, I whispered to the roses, I am too.